All right, Tony, everybody is in.
Continue?
Okay, we should be good.
Michelle, you got an issue?
No. No.
All rise for the pledge.
For the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America,
To the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Alvarez,
Present.
Councilman Larka,
Here,
Councilman Lord,
Here.
Councilman O'Connor,
Here.
Supervisor Hay.
Here. Okay, first item on this evening's agenda for work session is the definition of an acre. So I make a motion to open that portion of the meeting.
Second.
Is there- All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, over the last, well, probably the past year, it's probably come up before, and I guess we never paid much attention to it, and it's what's an acre? So I talked to Ashley, and she helped come up with some wording. Now, we have issues with various projects here in town. You have to have 5 acres to have different animals. You have to have so many acres to do something else. We have 4-acre zoning. And I know there's a question out there, Ashley, about 4-acre zoning. When we have 4-acre zoning, is it based on 4 actual acres? Or is it based on the 40,000 or the R60 or 160? How is it determined?
It's based on square feet. So the code currently defines an acre as 40,000 square feet. And then in the dimensional table, which is attachment 4 of the code, the table of bulk requirements for residential zoning districts, for residential lot sizes, it's based on square feet. It doesn't say acres. It says 20,000 square feet for R20, 40,000 square feet for R, and so on. So a
And
4-acre lot is 160,000 square feet.
Okay, so if someone has an R60, 160, it's considered a 4-acre lot. However, if we didn't identify it as the 160 and we say 4 acres, the acre would then be a true acre.
Well, it wouldn't change. It wouldn't necessarily change because the code
No,
calls
no,
it the R160 zoning district, and then it's the code. The dimensions that are in the bulk table is actually 160,000 square feet, not 4 acres.
Right, but we're not changing that.
And we're not changing. There's no proposal to change that.
Now, if a person has 7.5 acres and they want to divide in 2 lots, they get one and have to go for a variance to get a second one.
So all of the minimum dimensional requirements for single family homes and for subdivision purposes would not be changed by this draft law, because that would continue to be based on square feet.
Right.
and that would be, so that would be at the 40,000?
Yes.
Okay.
It's all in increments of 40,000. The only thing that would change are there's several uses throughout the code that use the term acre, and they have, minimum 5 acres for some, the housing of certain types of animals, and a minimum of 10 acres for, I think, a private school. And there's different references of that nature.
What about like the agricultural stuff? Because we've seen that. So that would be changed to a real acre as opposed to 40,000 square feet.
Yes, there's several different types of ag references in the code, whether it's a farm or commercial greenhouses, and those are all based on the word acre, which is currently defined as 40,000, but under this change would become a true acre.
So the motor vehicle thing today that we're going to be passing tonight is minimum lot size of 4 acres. That would now become
4 true acres.
4 true
as opposed-
acres. Okay.
Yep.
Not the R160.
Okay.
Okay, now the reason for this mostly is there is an issue with different farm animals. We got roosters out there, and I see it as a problem, and I brought it up, and we're here for discussion this evening. It's also the change of requires a local law of public hearing to be held. So I'll take Ashley, you
What
respond.
happens to uses that are already depending upon the 4-acre zoning that is being used now. So perhaps horse farms can only have so many horses per acre. If we adopt a new standard of, or no new number for an acre, that will possibly reduce the number of horses they can have on their farm. Are we planning to grandfather any of these uses that are out there now?
Personally, John, and we'd have to check, but I don't believe there's anyone really going to be seriously affected by this, in all honesty, only because they have the proper acreage. Everyone, when they did it, when they looked at their acreage, you get an assessment roll, you have 5 acres, you got quarter acre, you got half acre. And if it's an R zone, but if it's an acre, most of them have the proper acreage. So do we have to grandfather someone? I would say, I don't know. I don't know what I would say.
Well, I think something's come up recently that led to this discussion, and I think that person may need to be grandfathered
If I could interject, I think from a zoning law perspective, if this were considered to be a zoning law, the argument could be made that they are grandfathered as a matter of law. But since we're talking about farm animals, farm animals come and go. They live and they die. So if we were to change this, I would almost guarantee that if someone were cited for a violation and they could establish that they were in a situation where they had this number of animals prior to the change in the definition, they could successfully argue that they'd be grandfathered.
Okay.
But I don't think we have to affirmatively grandfather anybody.
So we wouldn't be the one that would well, I guess we would if we were making a zoning law. Would it have?
Well, you could certainly put in text a grandfathering provision, but I think that's really superfluous. If they're grandfathered as a matter of law, they're grandfathered as a matter of law. I don't think there's any reason to put grandfathering in as a part of the code. Ashley, you might have some input there. I don't know.
I agree with your assessment. I think any existing farm that has, or is allowed to have 4 horses under the existing law would be able to keep those 4 horses, and they might not be able to replace a total of 4 if they were to pass away under the new law. They might have to go.
I think that's accurate.
Is that going to require DNA testing of the animals? I mean, really,
That's right up your alley there, Tony.
I talked to Tony earlier. Should we just not make it simple and just based on how Lori Bell assesses the property? So for argument's sake, and I'm not doing math here, guys, but I have 1.76 acres. I have no idea if that's 40,000 square feet or 43,000 square feet. So wouldn't it just be easier to say I got 1.76 and go with that instead of if we start trying to divide it by the 40 or the 43?
So I suggest that we keep the current table the way it is in regards to 20,000, 40,000 for all of the single family zoning districts. And the reason is that I think we would affect a lot more properties if we were to change that. Any recent subdivisions or subdivisions that are in the process could suddenly have some pre-existing non-conforming lots or some non-conforming lots that haven't even been approved yet. I think that's going to have more ripple effects than just changing the definition of an acre for these handful of uses that are in the code that rely on the word acre.
now, right now, the definition of an acre is 40,000 square feet. And we're going to change it. 1 acre is 43,560 square feet like the rest of the world, or at least this part of the world. I think to me, it's a simple fix.
Well, but it may affect people. That's my. And Ashley, do you have any experience with other towns that have come to this? Do other towns show 40,000 square feet as an acre?
I haven't seen that in other towns. I can't say that it doesn't exist in any other towns. I'm sure it does somewhere. But I haven't come across it.
Most towns use 40,000 square feet?
Most towns use an acre as a real acre.
Okay,
As a 43,560 square feet.
okay.
Can we maybe table this and do a little research on how many properties this would affect first? If we
Well-
made that change?
Well, I don't know how we would do that because we don't know who may have what. I mean,
Hey,
we could
like-
reset.
This is only a work session. There's nothing really to table. It's not like you're putting a
Okay.
resolution out there. But you could put it on for another work session and hopefully we get some statistics that could answer Councilman O'Connor's question.
I could,
I think Ashley was going down the right road there by saying that, there's properties that this is going to affect that are probably on the margin, would you say, of being an acre one way or the other with this? And I think we should look at that before we, go forward to going to a resolution.
using,
Just to see where we're at.
to that point, using GIS, we could screen for the properties that fit within those square footages. We won't, and then we could drill down from there to see what's on those properties, but it's pretty easy to screen based on lot size.
Hey, Will, there's some feedback coming from your mic. I don't know if you could mute while you're not
From
talking.
my mic? Really?
I believe so. I don't know if you guys can hear that.
I did, yeah.
Okay, I think it should be better. Okay.
Nancy, what R zone is an acre? R what?
R40,
R40. So we'd have to check.
but you have to look at all of the lots because it's more of a use question than a lot size question.
But if a person they might have not have the acreage, but if they don't have an animal on it, I mean, how are we gonna find that out?
Right, so I could just screen for the properties that are on that cusp of 5 acres, 10 acres, the acreages that have the uses tied to them. And then we could see whether those are in residential zoning districts or whether they're a commercial zoning district that could be affected by something like, the 4-acre minimum for a motor vehicle dealership, that sort of thing.
I'll call you in the morning and we'll get Lori in the conversation and we'll run the test.
Okay,
And if we
We'll
have,
bring-
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
if we have a horse farm that has the ability now to have 20 horses on it, but now redefining the acre, we find that they only are allowed to have 18, but we allow them to grandfather, or they win a case if they bring litigation against us when we tell them not to, that they would have to cull their herd. Should there if they have a horse that dies, how would we enforce that they can only now keep 19 or 18, getting down to what the acreage would allow? And also, would we, if we did have grandfathered properties, would we allow that grandfathered property to be sold and the same herd size be allowed? Those are other questions that I would have. I don't know if anyone else is concerned, but.
Yeah, I think for me, I hear your concerns, John, but I was surprised to find out that an acre is not an acre as defined by the town. And, just at first blush, an acre should be an acre. I don't know why it would have ever been different. And, I wonder how many people know that an acre has you can have, according to my math, 91.7% of an acre is an acre. And who would have leveraged that? I don't know. I would imagine that people are operating under an acre is an acre. But I would agree, I'd like to see what this impacts, maybe not the lots that impacts, but what the criteria would be that it would impact. And then maybe we could see, and I guess what it would impact and what it wouldn't impact. right? Because it wouldn't impact, because I don't know if I'm still 100% clear on that. It wouldn't impact subdivision of lots, but it would impact most of our code enforcement, some of the special permits. But a
Yeah, so
table
it-
would be,
that's correct. It would not affect the subdivision of lots because those would continue to be based on square feet. But it would affect certain uses within the code where there is a minimum acreage requirement.
right. And like if it was 1 horse per acre, which I know it's not, so don't quote me on that, but if it was, and I had 1.8 acres, I don't think I would assume that I could have 2 horses because the town, applies a discount to the acreage qualification, but just my opinion.
Thanks.
Well, we'll work on numbers and try to get it for the next meeting.
Good. Thank you.
For what it's worth, I think the only people that have noticed that an acre is not an acre in this code are the people that are processing subdivision applications because they can get extra lots.
Wow.
Okay,
And do they sell it that way as on real estate?
No, I mean, it's for the larger subdivisions because you realize that you're able to, you have more land to work with.
so the town code, a 4-acre lot currently is not a 4-acre lot,
No, it's 160,000 square foot lot.
right? So it's less than 4 acres.
So for a 4-acre lot, you would need 3.67 acres for a 4-acre lot as defined by our code.
Yes,
And
but
if
it
you
doesn't,
said
the code doesn't actually call it a 4-acre lot. That's the thing. It only
Yeah.
calls it 160,000 square foot lot. We just, in shorthand, call it a 4-acre lot.
Oh,
Some refer to it as a builder's acre. And I don't know how that term came, but it was easy to describe and it was easy to do the math and certainly was a benefit to the builder. So they called them builder's acres, like a baker's dozen. But
I
only
hadn't
different.
heard that term before.
But the
Oh,
baker
yeah.
gives it up, the builder doesn't. Thank you.
Okay, and also I'm gonna go through the code and find out like there's certain like pigs require a certain amount of acreage and horses require a certain amount of acreage. Roosters and minks, there's all kinds of animals in there and I'll look up and see what kind of codes they call for as well.
is there you said we have to have a public hearing for this, right?
Yes,
And,
so we'll have another work session and then we'll have a public hearing thereafter.
okay,
Thanks, Ashley.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll come back next meeting and follow up. Ashley, we'll call you tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. Make a motion to go into the regular portion of the meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
aye.
First is a resolution to declare lead agency and adopt a negative declaration. Now therefore be resolved that pursuant to 617.6B2 of the State Environmental Review Act, SECR, the town board of the town of Southeast hereby declares itself lead agency for the purpose of SECR for the type action. And be further resolved that the town board of Southeast as lead agency has determined that the proposed action for the reasons set forth in the expanded environmental assessment form dated May 28, 2021, and the appended seeker notice of determination of significance, the adoption of local law to amend chapter 138 of the town code zoning to implement the recommendations of Route 22 master plan will not have a significant environmental impact and draft environmental impact statement will not be prepared. So move for discussion.
Second,
Discussion. Roll call vote.
Councilman Alvarez,
yes.
Councilman Larka,
Yes,
Councilman Ward,
No.
Councilman O'Connor,
Yes.
Supervisor Hay.
Yes. Now. Got a lot of backup on each one of these. Let me get the resolution. Here it is. I got this whole dais to myself and I still don't have enough room. Bear with me, sorry. You guys gotta buy me some tabs for next time.
You have other people sitting next to you to help you out.
We could have a meeting in person.
There it is, sorry. Okay, number 2, resolution to adopt a local law to amend chapter 130 to the town code zoning for Route 22. Okay, now therefore be resolved that pursuant to town board of the town of Southeast hereby adopts local law. What number, Michelle, would this be?
I believe
Two.
number 2, yeah.
2? Number 2 of 2021 pursuant to municipal home rule law to amend chapter 130 of the town code zoning, and be further resolved that the town clerk be and is hereby authorized and directed to A, enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting and in the code book of the town of Southeast, and B, give due notice of the adoption of said local law by following such with the Secretary of State of New York within the time required by law. So moved for discussion.
Second.
Discussion.
I'm going to vote no again, and I appreciate all the work that the planning board did. I think that there are a lot of good things that are in this law. I don't agree with a couple of the items allowing self-storage and also downsizing the amount of acreage for motor vehicle dealerships. These are two things that survey that was done by the planning board found had more respondents that were against those uses in the zone. But I like that they are trying to unify the look of Route 22. And I like that they have arranged or made the code so that there are a lot of non-conforming uses that are now okay in the code. But that's the reason I'm not going to be voting for it. And I appreciate that changes that I had pushed for and that are now part of the law are part of the law. But anyway, thank you very much. Thanks for all your work, Ashley, and planning board and everybody on the board for listening to me and giving me a little bit of help me out a little bit. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comment? Roll call vote.
Councilman Alvarez,
Yes.
Councilman Larka,
Yes.
Councilman Lord,
No.
Councilman O'Connor,
Yes.
Supervisor Hay.
Yes. Okay, before I go into public recognition, I just want to tell the board, something came up late this afternoon. I got an email concerning a contractual matter, so I'm going to ask to go into a brief executive session at the end of the meeting. No action will be taken on what we will do, and it should take maybe 5 minutes. So, public comment at this point in time?
Well, is that a motion, Tony,
Do what?
to go into executive
No,
session?
no, at the end,
Not yet.
I'm
Okay,
explaining what I'm going to do after comments.
gotcha.
All right, so I will, since I recognize most of the people on, I'll just, I've opened it up so you can unmute yourselves.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Ed,
Thanks. Hi, it's Lynn Eckhart, everyone. How are you?
good.
Thanks for putting this off for the definition of an acre for another work session. I think it's an important question and a good one to ask. Quick question to Ashley, if she's still on. Do other towns, Ashley, do they just use 4-acre zoning like they wouldn't use R160 or I assume or R80? They use actual 4-acre zoning, 2-acre zoning? I'm just curious about that.
I've seen both. I've seen both.
So that if they used a regular acre, it wouldn't be R160, it would be obviously an odd number.
Yeah, well, sometimes I've seen kind of a hybrid where they say it's like an R20 district, but they still in the actual zoning text call it like a 1/4 acre zone, which isn't exactly 20,000 square feet. But in Southeast, it's actually consistent where it's referred to R20 and then it's 20,000 square feet. And that consistency wouldn't change.
Okay. And I do think it's important to clear this up because equestrian centers do have to be 25 acres right now. If they mean acres, builder's acre, and I've heard the expression many times, having been in real estate, you know, it's about 25 acres are needed, and that's about 1,000,000 square feet by builder's acres, but it's 1,089,000, but it would become that. And that would affect how many horses could be on the property. And I certainly think as an enforcement issue, you really aren't going to want to find out what horses died and what's going, you know, all of that. So I think it could be kept pretty simple with equestrian and animals, but that would be my primary concern. I wanted to thank the board and John too, because he helped with the rezoning of 22, but thank you for passing that. I know a lot of the planning board members put a lot of time in, so thank you all.
Now, I have to admit, I've been around for quite a while, watching politics, even when I wasn't involved in politics. And I'm telling you now, anytime someone came in with 25 acres, they had 25 acres. I'd never seen a determination made of taking an acre of R40 or 40,000 square feet, multiplied by 5 to get what they call acreage. I've never seen that. So I know when we look that up, you're not going to find hardly any, maybe if any. They all have, I won't say all, most of them will have the acreage. So they either got 25 or 30, but they didn't take the R160, multiply it by 4 to get 20, or 6 to get to 25 acres. I'd never seen it before. So it's going to be an interesting check. And I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get the exact number, but I don't think there's going to be many. Okay. Anybody else for comment? Oops. Charles?
I just want to thank everyone on the board and the planning board and Ashley for all the work they did on the Route 22 rezoning. I think it was a great thing that you passed for the town, and we really appreciate all the effort that went into it. And because I cannot withhold from commenting on zoning issues on the acreage, I just wanted to point out that I think Will raised a very, very good point, that you have provisions in your code regarding non-conforming uses and structures. So Mr. Lord, in some of the cases you talk about where someone had a certain number of horses, as long as they continued that use, they would be protected under your existing code. And I think that's what Will was actually pointing to. Sorry, I can't help myself, but just had to say it. So you might want to look at that when you're making your decision on how to proceed.
You lawyers got to stick together.
I'm not sure that's accurate, but I just wanted to point it out. Thank
Trust
you
me,
very much.
us laymen do listen to you guys. Trust me.
All right, well, thank you, and all have a great night.
Thank you.
You too.
Thank you.
Any other comment?
Good evening. It's Scott Seaman from the Brewster Board of Ed. How is everyone? Hope you're well.
Thanks, Scott.
Just wanted to follow up. Our last big item is the graduation. I know I had mentioned it before. It's on Friday, June 18th. We're doing the car parade like last year from Coles over to the be at the high school. And just wanted to thank everybody for their support. I know the town of Southeast has been a big supporter. I just wanted to also push out Councilman Larka for his helping us paint the town green. We appreciate that. And anything we can do to help in that, please let us know. And if anybody else wants to put up decorations or anything to let us know and help us, please reach out to the school. We'll be more than happy to help anybody that that needs help on that. But once again, thank you for your support.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you. Any other comments? Town board?
I think there's a Flag Day is coming up next week on July 11th or June 11th rather. I'm sorry, June 14th at the Elks Club at 6 p.m.
Thank you.
Also, last night I was listening to, I guess I was at a Zoom meeting for the village, and we had one of the residents in the town had questions about playgrounds, and they had been directed to Tom Boisano, who is the village trustee who manages Wells Park. And I also talked to the resident about Markel Park. I think Eric did as well, and also Castle Park. And from Tony's report last meeting, Castle Park should be up and running sometime in August with all new playground equipment. But the question about playground equipment at Markel was brought up, and I talked to Tony during the week and asked him what our position was on, I guess, revamping the equipment there. Tony mentioned that that property is really being discussed between DEP and the village and the Brewster Fire Department. The Brewster Fire Department possibly needing more space to expand. So at the village board meeting, I asked the village board what the status was. What are they doing? And is that the case that they are talking with DEP about the property? And Jim Schoenig told me that the property, Markel Park, including the Little League field, the first Little League field, not the one that was built later on. That's a softball field for the girls.
And John, just to interrupt for a second, that field is owned by the Durkins.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I think.
Not the DEP. The one you're speaking of, Markel, the first field and toward the firehouse, that belongs to DEP. And from the third base side of the first field going toward the old Durkin property, that belongs to Durkin.
Right. So the Little League field that's been a Little League field forever. That's the Markel Park Little League field. That's part of the DEP discussions with the village and the Brewster Fire Department. And Jim Schoenig said that that property is part of the DEP land swap or land agreement that they're working on for the urban renewal project. And so it's not finalized, but he said that, so you're right, Tony, we probably shouldn't invest in any playground equipment there. Supposedly that deed is going to be finalized soon.
Well, right now we have a license for it. They're going to transfer ownership of that property for to the village, and in turn, a piece over somewhere in Putnam County, might be in Southeast, will be deeded over to DEP. It's going to be a land swap. It's almost like recreation and parkland. They got.
I think it was in Kent.
It doesn't matter where it is. The bottom line, you have to trade an equal value of dollar or land size for the other. My biggest disappointment, we've been hearing this rumor for probably 3 years, and the town has never been notified of what was going on. We've only heard rumors, and it's very disappointing to know what the DEP, we've been good stewards of the electric zone. I don't know if, do you know if the electric zone field is part of that?
I didn't get that impression.
Okay.
Did you, Eric? I think he was just, I think it's
I had
just,
asked Jim and I asked the county, because I guess that has to get approved through the county as a land swap, and the cutoff is north of the electric zone field, so it did not include the electric zone field.
Okay, well, let's go back to Markel Park. Markel Park used to be up on North Brewster Road at one point in time. And so the bottom line is, we were never notified, even to this day. You asked, I mean, because it's basically a done deal. I guess there's only one other sign off coming. So we've heard about it, and it's tough doing business when you don't know what's going on. And for them to pull the plug and not even involve us after probably well over 50 years, because I know when I was a kid in Brewster Heights, I moved there in 1957, and I was 10 years old at the time. So within 2 years, I know I walked all of Brewster Heights. It wasn't quite completed then, collecting money. I collected about $200 for the pool that went there. So it's been there for a long time, and we've been the steward of that park all that time, and we were never notified, and that is very disappointing.
yeah. Well, anyway, I was trying to ask Jim pointed questions, and I was surprised that property was part of the land swap that everybody's been waiting for the urban renewal project to go forward, and they're still waiting for. And Jim said, well, if the town is concerned about playground equipment and residents, maybe they would consider donating playground equipment or monies for playground equipment to the village for Wells Park.
No, thanks. Look,
I don't think it's a bad idea. I mean, they're residents of the
John, why do you keep trying to give away our money? Do you know how long this town has waited to get enough money to do what we're doing up at Pump House Road and our park? And you think we're going to pay to have them? No, let them look.
It's
Make
our
a deal.
property. It's our property. We lease it to them, and it will be.
That's right. And we're not going to have it back for another 28 years. No, not happening. If the board wants to do that, and where are you going to get the money from? No way. Ain't happening.
Okay,
You keep giving away your money. That irritates me to no end. I swear to God.
what irritates you?
The fact that you're always trying to give money away.
I don't think
Yeah,
that's accurate. And I think that there's money that you've given away as well, but it's.
no, John, anything we do, you are trying to continue to, we don't own that field. We have fields that we can't put equipment on ourselves. We finally got some money and we're fixing up a park and making it real nice. If anything, we should take Wells Park back. We gave it to them. Now, if they're gonna have that park, then they don't need the one we gave them. I felt bad for the village. And when I came here, I said, geez, you know, they don't have a park. And I said, let them have that park because it's right dead center in the village. And this is the reward we have to, we're gonna continue to equip it. Not in my book, but if the other gentleman would like to do it, be my guest.
It's,
Big fat no.
they're, the village people are residents as well as the town. It shouldn't be one municipality administration against another.
It's not by any means.
And John, I agree with you, it shouldn't be, but I don't think I would be in favor of investing in a park that we have no control over. And, you know, it's, I don't know that, you know, I think that we do a great job of keeping the parks open as often as we can. And if we were to make an investment there and then the park is closed, then we have no say. I mean, if we made an investment, we should own it. They lease the park. When you lease a car, you don't ask the dealer to put new tires on it. And so I would not be in favor of that.
Okay, no, that's cool. I just thought we'd have the discussion. It was brought up. I think it was more a taunt than anything else, but I thought, why not discuss it? And, you know, if we did do anything for them, we could make it a condition that we could make or provide some conditions. They would have to keep the park open for a longer period of time or something. I don't know. Anyway, thank you for hearing me out. And again, it was a taunt, and I figured I told them, okay, I'll ask the board. And I did ask the board, and I'm sorry if I appeared to be more of an advocate than I really am, but I'm just trying to think about those residents that now can't use Castle Park and are kind of delayed in using Wells Park because of deteriorating equipment. But thanks.
And I would just add to that, I was on that meeting too, that they did say that Wells Park is going to be open this weekend. They did have a company out to do repairs to the equipment. And, you know, I think it was just a taunt, but it sounds like they're got it under control and that the park will be open.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank everybody for your patience with me.
Any other town board members?
Yeah, I had an update on Sodom Road. So as I explained at the last meeting, the Sodom Road bridge, which is over the East Branch Creek, basically, is slated to close for a replacement project that's going to go about 6 months. So at the last meeting, I stated it was about 2 weeks. So we're at the 2-week mark. The bridge is not yet closed. And in my conversation with the project manager today, there have been some delays with the outside contractor. So they're looking, conservative estimate's going to say probably first week of July is when the closing's actually going to happen. So it's been pushed back about a month.
Will that extend the period from six months to 7 months then?
I believe so, yeah.
Possibly?
I'll firm that up though.
Okay. It's middle of winter, won't make a difference. After 6 months, what's another month? Just don't make it 10 years plus.
It's not Prospect Hill, right?
Not as big as bridge either.
John, is
Yes,
there, are they going to put any sort of sign that says when it's going to close? I drove through there a couple days ago and it's not posted like, hey, this bridge is going to be closed for 6 months, you know,
Right.
effective at that time.
Yeah, the contractor was supposed to start. I mean, they're basically, they have to stage their equipment. And I'm trying to find out what the location is for that, but it's going to be somewhere nearby for them. And then once they've got their cells established, it'll be similar to what they did with Fairfield Drive and Putnam Lake, where they would put up the signage for the detours and everything, and you know, shortly, maybe like a week before the bridge is gonna close, but they're not gonna post actual dates of that. I could ask that, that would be helpful if they could provide dates, but they don't like to give dates because obviously dates get pushed back, so.
And
Okay.
right now, we're at the 30-day point.
Right.
Okay. Any other town board member? Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to go into executive session, just for the public to aware. We are gonna come back on to close the meeting. You'll be knocked off while we have the executive session. It should take probably no more than 10 minutes unless there's a lot of questions. We will come back, but there'll be no action taken based on what I was saying.
So I'll just put everybody who's not here, or everyone who's here for the meeting, I'll just put them in the waiting room. And they can stick around. If they do, I'll let them back in before we close.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to go into executive session, discuss a contractual matter.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Let me know when they're off.
Oh, they're signing off before I could put them in the waiting room,
Okay,
except for Lynn. Okay, Lynn is in the waiting room.
well, you gotta have Carlos here.
Carla.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay,
Okay,
and you're
Oh,
still
sure.
recording.
you sure
What's that?
everyone's out?
so Lynn logged off, so now Carla is just waiting in the waiting room.
Right.
Okay,
And
and
you're
we come
Now,
back.
do you
recording.
still record for this?
Oh, no, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
I will pause.
yeah, she's not talking.
Okay, Tony.
We back on?
Yes.
Okay, I make a motion to come out of the executive session. No action was taken.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a
Motion to close
motion.
the meeting.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna, oh, I'm confused. I thought you were gonna say something else, so yeah.
Just the fact that no action was taken. We went into
Okay,
executive
all
session,
right.
no action was taken. That's
Okay,
it. And so
I'll second to close the meeting.
and who, did John, you led it?
John did, yes.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all for coming.
Good night.
Good night.
All right.